Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the January meeting of your Louisville Town Council. It's a pleasure to have all you folks here with us tonight. Welcome to those of you who are joining us on TV6 this evening, and those of you who are watching our meeting streaming live on LouisvilleNC.net, our website. I understand from our communication specialists that we still are fumbling with our Facebook feed, so we apologize for that tonight. We may be able to fix that here, I hope, sometime in the near future. We'll begin this evening with the invocation led by our attorney, Bo Houff, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Councilwoman Marcy Gallman. Please stand and join us if you're able.
Let us pray. God our Father, we give you thanks tonight, this cold winter night, for warm coats. Keep us mindful of those who do not have enough to keep them warm. Give you thanks for the month of January and new beginnings, casting aside old times and looking forward to the new. And Father, we give you thanks for this town and for all of those who make it what it is. Give thanks for the staff that makes this town government run, for the elected body that makes difficult decisions sometimes and easier ones other times. But especially we give you thanks for the citizens of this town whom we serve. We ask your blessings upon this council tonight, that they may act with wisdom and courage, and that after the meeting we will all go home in safety. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You know something, council members, I think Bo has been practicing his invocation. He's getting better every week. Thank you, Bo. That was very nice. We'll do our roll call in our traditional manner this evening, starting from my right with Mr. Zinger.
Hi, I'm Councilman Zinger. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, and Happy New Year. I'm Ed Smith. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Sandra Mock.
And I'm Mike Horn.
Robert Gray.
Good evening, Marcy Gallman.
And I'm Fred Franklin. It's a pleasure to serve.
Very good. Council members, we have had one addition, actually two additions to the agenda since it went out to you earlier. Under 10C, we're going to add a Conrad Farm sidewalk request, and that'll be presented to us by our planner, and I'll introduce town staff in just a minute. And then under 11F, we're going to be cryptic about this for just a little bit. It is called the Clemens Challenges, and our manager will be presenting those to us. So if there are no other changes or additions to the agenda, we'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Zinger makes the motion, Ms. Gallman makes, or Ms. Mock makes the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous, thank you. With us this evening is your trusty and loyal town staff, Hank Perkins, our manager, Bo Houff, who you heard during our invitation, our town attorney, Jeannie Taylor back there on our camera with our communication specialist. We have Ms. Joyce Walker, our town clerk, Ms. Pam Morrell, our town finance director, back in the back, standing at semi-attention, our Corporal P.J. Stringer. Nice of you to be with us tonight, P.J. Did I miss anybody?
Stacy.
Yes.
Stacy, I kind of sideways introduced Stacy. Stacy, our new town planner. Stacy Talbert, thank you for being here. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for braving the breeze anyway to be over here tonight. I understand the Fries, instead of walking over from North Street, they drove over tonight. So, you know, it's got to be a little nip in the air when they do that. Hank, if you'll walk us through our consent agenda, please.
Yes, this evening's consent agenda consists of 4 items. First is Resolution 2019001 for the acceptance and approval of monthly financials for November 2018. Next is the approval of joint council, town council and planning board minutes from November 3rd, 2018. The approval of council briefing and action minutes from December 6th, 2018. And finally, approval of council meeting minutes December 13th, 2018.
Council members, any additions or changes on the consent agenda? Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, the consent agenda are items that generally come before the council. They're routine in nature. There are financial reports, our minutes. We do look these over, not at this meeting, but generally before this meeting. We take this as a group. Council members can ask for any item to be removed and discussed individually, but generally we'll accept a motion to adopt the consent agenda all at one time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Franklin makes the motion. Mrs. Gallman this time makes the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, that's unanimous. We do have a special presentation tonight, and I'd like to welcome our good friend Sheriff Schatzman to come up and join me in front, please. Sheriff, it's good to see you.
Always.
We are, one of the things that we do in Louisville that a lot of communities may not be, or a lot of residents may not be aware of, is we provide community policing. And we have a great group of deputies, and they're led currently by our Corporal P.J. Stringer. They patrol our streets, they make us safe, they are there to respond when in need, and are a great group of folks. For the last 16 years, this gentleman has been an amazing partner with the town of Louisville, with our community policing, with any of the issues that came up that involved law enforcement. All I had to do was make a call, and it was solved almost instantaneously. It's amazing when a mayor or any council member can say that about the organizations that provide support to their communities. But during the tenure of Sheriff William T. Bill Schatzman, we had a fabulous responsive partner in the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. Bill, I'd like to read you something real quick, if I could. This is a resolution of the Louisville Town Council recognizing Forsyth County Sheriff William T. Bill Schatzman. Whereas protecting the safety of our residents is among the highest priorities of our town, and whereas the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office has the primary responsibility for law enforcement in our community, and whereas through the leadership of Sheriff William T. Bill Schatzman, the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office has been transformed to a statewide model for efficient, effective, and professional law enforcement. We heard that before. Whereas during his term as sheriff, the town of Louisville has received his unwavering support for our community policing and public safety efforts. And whereas Sheriff William T. Bill Schatzman has served our county and community with distinction for the last 16 years, earning the respect and admiration of our residents, town staff, and elected officials. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Louisville Town Council recognizes the service of William T. Bill Schatzman to our community and his dedication to demonstrating the highest standards of professional law enforcement, for which we are immensely grateful. Council members, may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Smith makes a motion, Mr. Zinger makes the second. This is adopted this 10th day of January 2019 by the Louisville Town Council. Bill, thank you so much for your support.
Call the
Thank
question.
you very much. Thank you.
Call the question, Mike.
Oh, I just assumed there was going to be a vote and it was all okay.
Yeah, but
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. All those in favor, is there anybody that wishes not to vote in support of this resolution? Good. That's going to be unanimous then. Bill, thanks a lot. Say a few words for us.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, to each of you on the council, thank you very much for this honor. I just want you to know, and I know Mike and I have had a special relationship, and so from me, through him, you have heard the pleasure I have had to be sheriff for 16 years, okay? And it's an honor and a privilege to work with folks like P.J. Stringer back there and the other 500 plus folks who work in the sheriff's office every day, and without much recognition or words of encouragement. So again, just let me thank each of you for allowing me to be sheriff and allowing me to be part of the organization that PJ and I and others, all of us in the sheriff's office, built. Mike included. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it all.
Let's get a picture here with the resolution.
This
So we
is called a grip and grin. Is this what we're doing?
even a left-handed one.
Lord. Very good.
All right,
Good.
thank you, Bill.
God bless. Thanks.
Don't be a stranger. Please come out and visit with us. That is the joys of this job as mayor, is that from time to time we do get to recognize folks in our community who mean so much to us. And again, thank you, Bill, for all you've done for us. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the first opportunity this evening, our first public forum for you to speak to the council. This can be on any matter that is of your mind, and we do have some folks signed up to speak. Terry and Jennifer Simmons. You know, I do this every time. This is 3 times now. Terry, are you going to do the honors, or both of you?
Both of us.
Okay, great. Please come on up.
Come as a team.
My name is Terry Simmons. This is my wife Jennifer. We live at 7500 Pine Trails Road. Until 4 weeks ago, my wife and I had never met any of you, and you have not met us. All of you seem to be very nice and cordial, and most of you seem genuinely concerned about our issue at hand. And I was impressed when 4 of the town's members came out and looked at our problem. At last Thursday night's meeting, we were told that after the town's investigation of our stormwater complaint, that there was nothing the town could do based on the stormwater system was functioning as designed, that part of the problem is that the water from the street running across our driveway, and that state statute prohibits towns from spending taxpayer dollars on private property. Our question on whether the town could take over ownership of the closed right-of-way was never answered. The only suggestions given that we might want to seek legal counsel, and for me to contact Jeff Zinger for some ideas. Jeff was emailed last Friday with my contact information, and I have yet to hear from him. As taxpayers of Louisville, we are provided with certain services such as garbage collection, road repair for roads that are maintained by Louisville, and stormwater piping. The stormwater piping in our yards and under our driveways should be no different than the 42-inch pipe that is under our road. They are there for one purpose, to divert stormwater into and down the creek. Our question now is, if Louisville maintains the culvert piping in our yards, shouldn't Louisville maintain the piping under our roads? It all falls into the 30-foot right-of-way that Louisville should look after. After all this damage has occurred over the past 5 months, I can now see large pieces of concrete that I have never seen before. After doing some research, I found out when these drain pipes are put into creeks these days, they construct what is called a head wall to discharge what is called a head wall to the discharge side of the pipe. One of its main purposes is to slow the water down and to help prevent erosion. I believe what was installed on this creek bank in 1974 is referred to as a splash, more or less a poured concrete pad, part of which caught the runoff from the creek banks and rainwater from a culvert. The other part of the pad was poured underneath the discharge side of the pipe to slow the water down and prevent all the erosion that has occurred. All of this concrete is now deteriorated, broken up, and thus serving no purpose. As we know, nothing lasts forever, and things have to be maintained, but by who? If a taxpayer is not required to repair their own street and take his own garbage to the dump, surely they are not required to maintain or repair their own stormwater piping. Again, this creek is the drainage ditch for our whole area, including the farm on Yakaville Highway and the old fire department. When we get these heavy rains, that creek roars like a Class 5 rapid. That much water at one time and no protection on the outgoing pipe is what has ultimately undermined the creek bank and caused all this damage, not runoff from the surrounding homes like has been suggested. Prior to us being annexed many years ago, who looked after the storm drains, the county or the state? And after being annexed, should Louisville not taking over responsibility for such things? There's an old saying that you cannot fight City Hall. My wife and I do not want to fight City Hall. All we want is some help and some type of resolution to this problem, and we have failed to get any, and we are sick of worrying about it. If Louisville cannot do anything about this, what about the county or at a state level? We don't know. As elected officials of a town council, you are supposed to speak the voice of your community and to help your citizens. We do not feel like this is being done, at least in our case. I bet if you could poll the whole community of Louisville, that 99.5% of its residents would agree that town revenue should be used to pay for this, and my wife and I should not be expected to come out of pockets for upwards of $40,000 that we don't have to take care of this sinkhole issue for something we don't own, this so-called private property next to us that no one really owns but has diminished our property value. At any time we could lose our driveway, and then what? And also it's a dangerous situation. If this was happening next to your home, you would feel the exact same way. And once again, we beg you to help us. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I've got to say.
Jennifer, you're gonna yield your time?
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
Okay, very good.
Your support.
Thank you,
I agree
folks.
100%.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak this evening? Anyone else? Very good. We'll close this public forum. We have no appointments this evening, no public hearings, no evidentiary hearings, no site plan amendments, no unfinished business, but we do have some new business this evening. Pam, you have a couple of requests for money, correct?
The first one is ordinance 2019002, amending budget ordinance 2018001 in the amount of $3,080, and this is to pay the property taxes on the property that was recently gifted to the town.
Council members, any questions for Pam?
Motion to approve ordinance 2019002.
Second.
Mr. Zinger makes the motion, Mr. Smith makes the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That is unanimous.
And next, we have ordinance 2019003, amending budget ordinance 2018001 in the amount of $30,000, and this is to increase the budget for snow and ice removal.
Any questions for Pam?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Smith makes the motion, Ms. Gallman makes the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That's unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, we hurried through these two. It's not the first opportunity we've had a chance to look at them. And the first Thursday of every month, we have a briefing, at which time we're briefed by staff on the issues that are going to come before us this evening. Such was the case last Thursday when we considered both of these budget amendments, and council had a full understanding at that time, and we're able to ask questions and clarifications. So we're not voting as if we've seen these the first time tonight. We've had plenty of time to consider them and to make the right decision this evening. Stacy, you want to kind of bring us up to date on the Conrad Farm request?
I sure will. Good evening, council. I come before you tonight simply for clarification. There was an ordinance approved, a special use permit approved by ordinance number 2017033, and the LPBR number, the planning board review number, was 2017002, and this was specifically for the Conrad Farm subdivision on Yadkinville Road. They are ready to record a final plat. They want to come in and get that ball rolling to record the final plat in order to start selling lots. I was taking a look at the ordinance that came out of the meeting that the council approved, and it's very specific. There are two tasks at hand tonight for clarification for both of those. The first one, it says, prior to the signing of final plats, developers shall build sidewalks in accordance with the town of Louisville's requirements. They are asking, in order for us to bond those sidewalks. In our UDO, it does allow for the bonding of improvements, either streets or sidewalks, in order for a final plat to be recorded. So I come to you tonight for clarification, simply to see if the council agrees that that bonding of those sidewalks still meets the intent of that specific condition placed on that special use permit. When they're bonded, they would go work with myself, George, the Public Works Director, and Pam to do a financial bond for the cost of whatever that would be. It's spelled out very specifically in our UDO what they would have to follow in order to bond those sidewalks. The reasoning for them wanting to do that, and Jeff, you can point to this as well, is whenever houses get built, whenever construction's going on these new lots and everything, those sidewalks get damaged. A lot of times, you pour a sidewalk, well, you're going to have to bust that sidewalk anyhow to determine where that driveway cut may be. Driveway cuts may change. Simple examples like that is the main reason why they're asking to be able to bond these sidewalks, to put them in after the construction is done of the house, prior to the signing of the final plat. So I asked for clarification tonight to see if the council feels that still meets that intent of that condition. Developers shall build sidewalks in accordance with town requirements prior to the signing of the final plat. We can discuss that one, or I can move on to the second one. There's another condition that I would like clarification on as well.
If I understand this correctly, what you're asking is that in the special use zoning that we passed, or the planning board recommended for us to pass, and we passed, it's been several months ago, the language in there specifically says, and read just that line,
developers shall build sidewalks in accordance with the town of Louisville's requirements.
and this is prior to the
Signing of final plats.
plats, okay. But we also have a provision in our UDO which allows for the sidewalks not to be built at that particular time. That allows the sites to go ahead and be plotted, and the developer to put up a bond which guarantees that the sidewalks will be built at a future date.
Correct.
So you're asking us, I'm guessing you're asking us if the UDO language can be accepted in this particular case as opposed to the language that's in the special use zoning.
Correct. If the council feels that intent of that condition is still met with a bond versus them actually being built and in place.
I've got a question to maybe clear up some confusion in my mind. This is a curb and gutter street.
It is.
It is. So they're concerned about sidewalks being potentially damaged due to curb cuts. Well, if they've already built the streets and put the curbs in, shouldn't they already know where the curb cuts are going to be for these platted lots?
I don't think they have curb cuts as of yet.
Okay, so they're going to bust them out as they
Or
go
either
up.
add to the concrete.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the issue is the curb cuts myself. I think the issue is more of, there's a lot of heavy equipment that needs to get in and out of there. And it isn't going to work. Well, I mean, I can take you to a site right now that I'm doing, and trying to get that stuff in and out of a driveway. We've taken out a gate, a fence, crushed a pipe. I mean, these are big trucks and they're really heavy. Concrete truck, drywall truck will absolutely destroy it. And so my recommendation would be that we go ahead and do that, because what's going to happen if we don't and they go ahead and pour them is we'll get sidewalks, but by the time they're long gone, we won't be liking our sidewalks. And so, and more than likely they'll end up putting them in, have the builders put them in as they do each
That was
house.
going to be my next question, is who's going to be responsible for living up to this bond?
They
The
still would
developer.
be. Yeah, the bond, once the sidewalks are in place, would be returned to them. It's just kind of a,
Yeah, and Stacy and I have had an opportunity to talk about this, and I believe the mayor and I spoke about this as well. We're not really asking for a modification of the requirements. We're asking for a clarification of the requirements, and the language is build the sidewalks in accordance with Louisville's requirements, and among Louisville's requirements are included that bond option. And so it was my impression that was consistent with the language, but we wanted that confirmation by council tonight.
Council members, any questions? I don't think we need to do a motion on this. I think we just need to.
We do not require a motion. We just want to get general idea and consensus of the council with regard to that
Does anybody have any
particular portion
concerns
of
about
it.
the request that's before us? We're okay? Very good. Number 2, Stacy.
Number 2, there is also another condition, prior to the signing of plats, C, it says, all documents, including covenants, restrictions, and homeowners association agreements, shall be recorded in the Office of Register of Deeds. A lot of times when a developer is recording a final plat, they get that plat book and page number. At that time, they already have those covenants drawn up, the homeowners association agreements and all that kind of stuff. They have drafts of those in place. It's just they are requesting to be able to record those after the final plat is signed and recorded, because they actually put that plat book and page number in that document to refer to exactly what lots those covenants govern over for the homeowners association. Homeowners association covenants is not something that the town enforces. It is something that we obviously like to see. We want to see what those covenants are, but if it's rules within the UDO, yes, we enforce those. If it's outside, it's kind of a civil matter. But that being one of the conditions of the special use permit, I wanted to see if it was clarification that the board, or council agrees that if they give us a draft of those with the understanding that once they record that final plat, that plat book and page number goes directly on those covenants, and then those covenants are recorded at that time.
Just a timing issue.
It's just a timing issue. But we would require that they go ahead and submit that draft to us, a copy of those covenants and restrictions to us. It's just that they would be missing 2 blanks with a plat book and page number in order to have that once the plat is recorded to add that to that document, and then record that document as well.
My only concern here is I want to make sure that we don't allow those septic tail line fields that are going to be across the road that's going to have to be maintained to fall through some kind of crack somewhere. Because the homeowners association has got to keep those up. And so I want some assurances that that's going to happen.
That'll be one of the provisions that'll be reviewed when they're proposed, and so we can have a chance to look at them. And, the main thing we want to make sure is that before any lots are sold, that's the important timing issue for covenants and restrictions and HOA provisions, because as long as a lot is sold after they're recorded, they're going to be bound by them. We just want to make sure that there are no lots sold prior to the recording of that, of the CCRs and the HOA provisions.
Could we put a timeline on that of within 30 days of the
I suspect
finalized?
it'll be within the
I would
2 or 3 days,
Yeah, I would
maybe
say
the same day.
Very quickly, because all they're looking for is that plat book and page number. That's all they've asked for is to just hold off for them to have that plat book and page number and then record right after that. So I would think that should not take them 30 days, no.
Okay.
I think it should be a very quick process.
Any other questions for Stacy? We're good?
Good.
Okay, Stacy, I think you're okay on both those.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Hank. The
All right.
Clemens Challenge.
Well, first we have upcoming events at Shallowford
Oh,
Square
you
and
do,
Town
you're exactly
Holidays.
right.
And for this month, we've got one thing. We've got town offices will be closed on Monday, the 21st, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr.'s holiday. Now we'll move on to the other items. For the approval and at the briefing and action meeting on January 3rd, we did have the approval of the budget calendar, the budget meeting calendar for the upcoming budget process. We also had the approval of a request from the Louisville Historical Society to extend the term for agreements to December 31st, 2019 for the Nissen House. And then lastly, we had a vote to authorize the town manager to renew the town's participation in urban archery until otherwise instructed not to participate by the town council. I'd also like to point out that bulky item pickup begins this Monday on January 14th, and will continue, we say continue through the week, but it traditionally takes longer than a week to do this, so they will continue until it's all picked up. And then we also have a council work session on Saturday, February 2nd, 2019, at 8 o'clock a.m. at council chambers. At that time, we will be handling, in general terms, space assessment for the town, economic development, capital improvement planning updates, and then lastly, a discussion on community policing. Moving forward, I have a note here to point out that the second annual Town and State Dinner will be on February 20th, 2019 in Raleigh. This will be following afternoon educational sessions. And then last, the Clemens Challenges.
By the way, council, any council member who wishes to go to it is Town and State and not Town and Steak dinner, you're welcome to do that. Please let Mrs. Walker know of your intentions, and she'll get you registered.
All right. Okay, we have a couple of things, and these were given to me by the village manager, Scott Buffkin. The Village of Clemens, they have a town-sponsored event. I don't know if it's that old an event. This is a new one just to get out, people and entertain them. And at this event, they are going to have a lip sync challenge. And what they're asking is for the town council to consider submitting a group of either 1 to 5 people to participate in the lip sync challenge. This will be on March 1st at the Southwest Elementary Auditorium. The group or individual will be judged on lip sync abilities, creativity, stage presence, and choreography. And I don't know. Let us know. The next part, I'll say, is that the YMCA.
Well, let's kind of maybe put a little closure around this first one. Do we have any
Okay.
council members that wish to participate in
I
a
nominate Fred.
lip sync challenge?
Won't be able to see his lips moving with that.
We do, if you'll indicate that so much, and we'll put you in charge of organizing that endeavor for the rest of the council and staff. Anybody wish to undertake that?
It can be one person. It doesn't have to be
Or it
five.
could be an individual who'd like,
Yeah.
I think we need an individual, and there is one person on the council that has lots of experience in performing on stage that I think we should just kind of by unanimous acclamation appoint her to represent the town. There's no movement in that direction, so. No, with not coming forward on lip sync challenge, I think you can.
Can we assign it to the staff since they produce such a lovely video every year?
Directed for council. Yeah.
You do it, Mike.
Really?
Sure, I'll take it on.
Outstanding. Okay.
There you go.
So Ms. Gallman is
Been a
going to
while,
undertake,
so,
and,
sure,
and
I'll
if she
take
can
it on.
recruit others on the council to participate with her.
Whether it's a solo act or might I even ask you to join me, but I'll take it on.
Very good. So we have a response to Mr. Balkin that we will in some form or matter participate.
Okay. The next that has been mentioned to me is that the YMCA is, they've done this before. I do not have the date and time for it. Mr. Buffkin is going to get this. They have a dodgeball tournament. This has been aimed in the past year to benefit school-age children, elementary schools. Last year they did produce 2 adult teams for competition. One were members of the Village Council of the Village of Clemens and their planning board. They called themselves the Village People. And they played a group of adults that were made up of staff from the YMCA. Scott just wants to know that if this group wants to field a team similarly made out, that we're welcome to join them, and I can have a date and time for the future.
This is a little more athletic event, should we choose to want to do that. Now, we do have several staff members who've indicated that they would like to be armed with balls to throw at people. So we'll leave this one open-ended, so to speak. So I think if you have an interest in being part of the dodgeball team, let the manager know, and he'll take from the resources available at council and see if there's enough staff people and, excuse me, make that determination himself.
All right.
Okay. Very good. And thank the manager in Clemens for thinking of us.
Certainly will.
Very good. We're at the second part of our meeting, ladies and gentlemen, where you have an opportunity to address the council on matters that may be of interest to you. Anybody in the audience wish to speak at this time? Anybody at all? Very good. There are forms in the back of the room should you wish to leave written comments that will be made part of the record this evening. Council members, any comments by you? It's a cold night. I guess everybody's anxious to get home to the fireplace. Very good. With that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned. Recognize the scout.
You know, Mr. Green has pointed over here for Anderson. No, Anderson. Anderson wrote me about 2 months ago, and he has an expressed interest in wanting the town to consider opening a dog park. And he has talked about places where he would like to walk his dogs, and Louisville does not have an appropriate place like some other communities. So in my response to Anderson, I said, the council is always receptive to ideas from our residents. A process that you might want to entertain would be to attend a council meeting, see how we do business, and then gather interested residents who might be interested in requesting a dog park by the council. Bring that back and make a presentation about how that would work and where you might want us to consider. And the council, like we would every request that comes before us, take it under due consideration. But that's how the process is started in Louisville. It starts from our residents, and it probably would go through our Parks and Rec Committee to have a discussion and then be recommended to the council. So that's Mr. Anderson's reason for being with us tonight. Good. Thank you. Any other business? Any other comments? Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, or thank you for watching at home tonight. Thank you for your consideration and your concern in town government. We appreciate it as always. Those of you who are here with us this evening, thank you for coming out. Mary and Susan, thank you for all you guys do for the Historical Society. I think you have an exciting announcement for us coming up in March, so we're really looking forward to that. With that, a motion was made and seconded. Who seconded?
I made the motion.
Second. Mr. Smith makes a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're adjourned.